Hello, a very good morning. Welcome to the Mega TV with the Mega News at 6 live and direct from our studios, located on the 10th Avenue Extension, Great Estate, Noah, Adogono. My name is El Samuels. The news is also live on all our social media handles on MBN 360, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and X. But first, let's take a look at our headlines. Ascent South MP and sponsor of anti-LGBTQ bill, John Ntim Fordjour, has called for John Dramani Mahama to be held accountable for his promise to introduce legislation addressing LGBTQ issues. 17 days after the renowned Ghanaian visual artist Ibrahim Mahama was allegedly assaulted by the police officers, authorities have yet to provide a substantive public update on the status of the investigation. Welcome back. So the news in detail. Ascent South MP and the sponsor of anti-LGBTQ plus bill, John Ntim Fordjour, has called for John Dramani Mahama to be held accountable for his promise to introduce a legislation addressing the LGBTQ issues.
Speaking at the NPP's headquarters on behalf of the minority, Reverend Ntim Fordjour also raised concerns over what he described as a covert attempt to introduce LGBTQ concepts into Ghana's constitution through the ongoing constitutional review process. He pointed to recommendations on pages 107 and 108 of the Constitutional Review Committee's report. According to him, such a development would fundamentally alter Ghana's moral and cultural foundations. The minority is also demanding an apology from President Mahama and the NDC to Ghana's religious and traditional leaders over what it describes as a betrayal regarding the anti-LGBT bill. Reverend Ntim Fordjour stated that churches, Muslim clerics, and traditional authorities were given assurances that the legislation would be prioritized if the NDC assumed power, but the government's current posture suggests a departure from that position.
93% of Ghanaians consider LGBT canker and its clampdown a major priority. President Mahama, realign your priorities in line with that of the people you serve. Ghana's basic needs have not changed since 2024. And ladies and gentlemen of the press, you will agree with us on that. The president is therefore expected to fulfill his promise to introduce his government-sponsored bill, which he promised the clergy and the religious leaders to comprehensively address the LGBTQ issues. He made those promises willingly. He must be held to account and be made to fulfill his promise. Second, an apology to the clergy, to the imams, Muslim clerics, and traditional leaders. The NDC and President John Dramani Mahama must apologize to the Christian Council, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, GPCC, and all other ecumenical bodies, the office of the Chief Imam, and our imams, our Muslim clerics, traditional rulers, and concerned CSOs for the double standards and contradictory priorities demonstrated between the period in opposition and now in power. Additionally, we call on the clergy, our Muslim clerics, communal bodies, traditional rulers, the civil society organizations to call out the NDC and President John Dramani Mahama on their U-turn on LGBT issues to maintain their spirited advocacy for the passage of the pending bill and for President Mahama to sign same into law as soon as it is passed by the 9th Parliament. Now, action from Parliament. We urge the Majority Leader, Honorable Mahama Yariga, and the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagby, to ensure the swift passage of the reintroduced bill without further delay tactics orchestrated by the deletion of the advertised bill from the order paper only to be relisted after 7 months of pressure.
Away from the floor of Parliament 17 days after the renowned Ghanaian visual artist Ibrahim Mahama was allegedly assaulted by police officers, authorities have yet to provide a substantive public update on the state of investigation, raising growing concerns about transparency and accountability.
The incident, reported to have occurred on March 21st, is alleged to have involved personnel believed to be part of the Inspector General of Police Special Operations Team, commonly referred to as the Black Maria. Despite the seriousness of the claims, the team led by Abdul Bawa Jalil has denied any involvement, maintaining that its officers were not present at the scene. In the days following the alleged assault, the matter was referred to the Police Professional Standards Bureau, the internal unit tasked with investigating misconduct within the Ghana Police Service. However, nearly 3 weeks on, the Bureau has yet to communicate any findings or progress to the public. Mahama, who met with the Police Management Board in Accra on March 26, made it clear that his pursuit of the case is not motivated by financial compensation, but by a desire for justice and institutional accountability. He further underscored the broader implications of the case, noting that transparent handling of such incidents is critical to strengthening public trust in democratic institutions.
Now we move to the Ewutu Senior East Municipal Assembly has justified its decision to demolish parts of the Kaswa Old Market in the Central Region, stating the move forms part of a long-term plan to replace Templar sheds with a modern market stalls.
The exercise, which took place in the early hours, affected over 800 traders operating from makeshift structures, along with several others within the enclave, triggering resistance from affected traders. Speaking to Joy News on Tuesday, April 7, the Municipal Physical Planning Officer, Stephen Kakraba, explained that the redevelopment plan dates back to 2019, when the Assembly resolved to transform the area into a structured and modern commercial space. According to him, the Assembly deliberately moved away from the use of temporary sheds due to sanitation and congestion concerns, opting instead for permanent market stalls that would improve organization and hygiene within the central business district. Mr. Kakraba acknowledged the resistance from traders, but maintained that the Assembly undertook extensive stakeholder engagement before the exercise, stressing that opposition is often expected in such redevelopment initiatives. Despite the Assembly's justification, many affected traders have rejected the alternative relocation site, the Iron City Market, describing it as unsuitable for their business operations. However, the Assembly insisted that the Iron City Market remains a viable temporary option as redevelopment works continue at the old market site.
Away from the Gumwa Old Market, now let's do some business where the VIP John Transport has announced a nationwide increase in transport fares with the new charges taking effect from today, Wednesday, the 8th of April.
The company says the adjustment applies to both its standard tour and executive coach services across major routes from Accra to several destinations nationwide. Under the revised fare structure, passengers using standard services will pay 120 Ghana cedis from Accra to Kumasi, 170 Ghana cedis to Sunyani, and 290 Ghana cedis to Temale. Fares to northern destinations have also been adjusted, with trips from Accra to Bolgatanga now costing 330 Ghana cedis, while Wabon passengers will pay 320 Ghana cedis. Executive coaches services have similarly seen upward revisions. Passengers traveling from Accra to Kumasi will now pay 150 Ghana cedis, while fares to Sunyani and Tamale have been increased to 200 Ghana cedis and 360 Ghana cedis, respectively. For longer distance routes, the company has set fares at 420 Ghana cedis from Accra to Navrongo. Intensity fares from Kumasi have also been revised, with passengers paying 210 Ghana cedis from Kumasi to Temale and 250 to Bolgatanga. VIP Jerome says the new fare structure has been approved by management and will be applied across all the operational routes nationwide.
From the charges of a change of fares from the VIP, we move straight to the African story, where police in Ethiopia have arrested a man accused of being at the center of a multi-million-dollar international human trafficking ring that since 2018 has lured thousands of people to Libya, where they hope to travel on to Europe. Yet Beric Dawit is alleged to have operated 5 destinations warehouse in Libya, torturing migrants here to try and force her relative to send extra money. He was detained along with 9 of his alleged accomplices in the northern town of Hira, according to police. They are yet to charge in court. Police says testimony collected so far suggested the network has been involved in the death of more than 100 people and sexually abuse of more than 50 women. The arrests were the result of a complex cross-border investigation, the police said, involving an organization called the Regional Operations Center, ROC, set up to tackle smuggling networks in East Africa, funded by the European Union. The traffickers are alleged to have transported more than 3,000 mainly young people from Djibouti, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, and Sudan to Libya using various routes. And on this note, we cross over to the weather center, bringing you the weather and its updates. It's a rainy morning. Now let's look at the weather for the next 24 hours with reference to the weather updates saying the thunderstorms with rain accompanied by moderate to strong winds will affect some places within the coastal, the middle and transition sectors. The formation of a mist and foggy conditions over parts of the forest and mountainous areas during the early hours of the morning. As the day unfolds, the sunny conditions alongside occasional cloudiness will prevail over southern Ghana. From afternoon into the night hours, rain-bearing clouds are expected to form and produce thunderstorms with rain of varying intensity over many places in southern Ghana. However, the north will experience mostly sunny conditions during the afternoon hours with slightly hazy persisting over the upper regions throughout the forecast period. Now, the temperature table for the next 24 hours brought to you courtesy the Ghana Meteorological Agency from the Mega TV Weather Center. The coast will experience a minimum of 25 degrees and a maximum of 33 degrees. The forest, 23 degrees minimum, maximum 34 degrees. Transition, 22 degrees minimum, 37 degrees maximum. Northern sector, minimum of 26 degrees, a maximum of 40 degrees. And that's our weather update. The next 24-hour impactful base forecast for Ghana. If there is an unforeseen change or any change to the pattern, we'll bring you up to speed in our next bulletin. And that brings us to the end of this morning's Mega News at 6, live and direct from Mega TV on the 10th Avenue Extension, Great Estate, Nungwa, Adugona. But before I take leave of you, let's take a second look at the stories making headlines. Asen South MP and sponsor of anti-LGBTQ bill, John Ntim Fordjour, has called for John Dramani Mahama to be held accountable for his promise to introduce legislation addressing LGBTQ issues. 17 days after the renowned Ghanaian visual artist Ibrahim Mahama was allegedly assaulted by the police officers, authorities have yet to provide a substantive public update on the status of the investigation. And that brings us to the end. For more news, log on to MBN 360. For more news, and also remember the news was also live across our social media handles on MBN 360. My name is El Samuels. Up next is a sports update. Good morning.